marriage is breaking up. So I will be like as a third or Bismillah. So I'm going to just walk through the questions in chronology in terms of the spectrum that they represent. So when it comes to the issue before marriage, it is true that most men put in a whole lot of effort until the lady says yes, and thereafter they just become slackers. This is not supposed to be the situation, but unfortunately, it is the reality with many people. The same thing happens with sisters as well, only in a different manner. For many sisters, before they get married, they make themselves look nice to the husband. They put in effort to be attractive. They make everything. And as soon as they get married also, they let themselves go. It's the same phenomenon. The same thing. It's just that it manifests in different manner. So there are many brothers that will always buy cards, they buy flowers, chocolates, all those good stuff for the lady until she becomes their wives, and then it's like as if they don't even remember she's existing. These are things we all need to work on. Okay? There's nothing that says you shouldn't spice up your spouse. Okay? You should spice your wife. You should, and there's nothing that says your sisters, your wives should not be wearing Victoria's Secret for you in the house. But what generally happens is the lady looks very nice when she's going out of the house. That's when she put on her best dress and looks nice when she's going out of the house. So the only thing the man is seeing is unbathed hair, all this unpainted face, all those, towel up to the chest, all those things that will not even encourage him at all. That's the only thing he gets. Okay, and when she wants to look nice, it's because she's leaving the house. Okay, so we all get it all upside down in terms of what we're supposed to do. Okay, so this is something the couples need to work on. So for us as brothers, being romantic is part of what we are expected to do. And for the sisters, hold on to your husband. Don't assume that because you have children now, they will divert all their attention to the children. And they'll say, oh, why do I need to worry about him? He's an adult, he can take care of himself. Okay, so it cuts both ways. Let's work on it. When it comes to choosing to marry non-Muslim, for a man, it is halal to marry the chaste women from among the people of the book, which will be the Jews and the Christians. It's not my law, it's Allah's law. But you should not, you should not deprive a Muslim sister of a husband because you are going to go outside your fold. So if you have a Muslim sister who needs a husband, she should always get the priority. Okay, because she has no choice. She can only marry a Muslim man. Because it is said, lahunna hilun lahum wa lahum yahiluna lahunna. So the Muslim woman has no other choice except to marry a believer. So we as brothers, we should stop misplacing our priorities. We should stop misplacing our priorities. Because a lot of time people will go out and marry a non-Muslim when they are Muslim women still looking for husbands. Let's say we have exhausted all the Muslim women, and then you decide to marry somebody else, then maybe that's understandable. But as Yorubas we say, okay, so if we have Muslim sisters that are looking for husbands and they are not married, they should be the ones we should marry. Okay, so it's important because then you won't confuse your children. You won't confuse your children. You'll be able to raise your children right. You will have same books that you follow. You will have, it makes it a lot easier for the family. A lot of problems that do occur among us is because we are people that have a lot of tribal sentiment. Or we are racist too in our heads. That you will say somebody who is a Muslim but is from somewhere else, and we will say, no, you should rather marry somebody from your own village. Okay? This has no basis at all. And speaking of when the parents disapprove, you have to look at the reason why they are disapproving. If they are disapproving based on something that has a solid foundation in Islam, then they are justified. But if they are going to be disapproving on account of something that is haram, then they don't have that right. because they then lose the right. As Allah said, if they make joint partners with me, okay, if they are going to make laws that will go against the law of Allah, He said, Allah to do not follow them. But still hold them in good esteem, have cordial relationship with your parents. So, if they are going to disapprove of your choice of spouse on account of something that is purely Islamic, then you have to follow them. But if it is on something that is haram, do not follow them. Now, if after marriage, then the husband is not performing up to expectation. Now, it is difficult for a man to realize he's not performing up to expectation. So for the sister who wrote, the two sisters, because I know this question could only have been raised by sisters. For the two sisters who wrote this question, recognize that your husband does not know. If you don't tell him, okay, if you don't let him know, he's not going to know. Because he's going to assume, the average guy lasts for like maybe 10 seconds and he's fast asleep. And when he's falling asleep, he's thinking he's not the best job in the world. While the wife is still looking at him like this and she's angry. Truly, truly angry. That she's boiling, that she's going to take Janaba for nothing. Is that bad? Some of us don't realize that. Because she didn't enjoy it. It was so short, and here he is falling asleep. And she is wide awake, wondering what just happened. And the poor guy is sleeping away, thinking he's the superstar in the world. The point is, we have to communicate. We have to communicate. What you probably should do, because you shouldn't go around and tell your husband, and you call yourself a Punimeta. You are not even what a player. Don't do that. What you should do, as soon as he finishes that one that you didn't enjoy, don't let him sleep. Tell him, you know, this actually is not enough for me. Number one, you'll have hurt his ego. Okay? That's going to happen when you tell him. But it is better for you to tell him, because then you can then work together. Number one, if that is the problem, so I'm going to address this issue head-on down for these two sisters. If that is a problem, number one, you have to increase the foreplay. If your wife tells you that she's not enjoying it, or you know you are not lasting long enough, there's a rule, cardinal rule of 3. The first round is for you, the man. The second round is for her. Okay? The third round is when you get privileges. Because at that point in time, you are a daddy. You know when you say, who is your daddy? You say, you. That's when you are able to do it 3. And I don't mean 3 over 2 weeks. No, it's 3 like within 1 hour or 2 hours. So if you are not somebody that can last 3 rounds, then you have to ensure you are very good in foreplay. You have to be the king of foreplay. That way she has already enjoyed herself before you even start. And it's important for women to understand you should never touch his private if your husband is somebody that doesn't last long. Because he will lose control. So, I'm going to take it that the lady who asked this question, this is something really important to you. I'm not trying to be vulgar, I'm not trying to, but because if I ask the lady to come and talk to me, it will identify you, and I don't think you want that. Otherwise, I will tell you a lot more, rather than in the public forum. But what I'm going to suggest is, take your husband, discuss it with your husband, because most men don't know how they are doing. And for our brothers, when you get home, ask your wife to grade you. That's the best way to start the conversation. It is the best way to start the conversation. If your wife tells you you are okay, it means you got an F. And I'll say that again. This is the way you use the scale. When you get home, ask your wife, how do I do? If she says you are okay, you got an F. Because she's not going to tell you that you are below halfway. Because then you say, how do you know the average? Okay, so if she says you are okay, it means you got an F. But if she says, Alhamdulillah, that's not want the answer to the question. If she says, I am okay, I enjoy it, and it's good for me, then you get a P, you pass. But if she says, you are the man, then at that point you are the daddy. So, you should know how this game works. If she tells you you are okay, what did you get? F. You need to know that. But our wives will not be able to ask you. They may be shy, they won't say it. So you should start the conversation. Because remember, it is your responsibility. And if we have two sisters asking the same question in a forum that is this small, it means it's a problem for them. And I don't want to identify the sister because the person we need to talk to is the husband. Okay? So remember, you have to do adequate foreplay. You have to let your wife guide you to knowing her sensitive areas. There is no shyness in religion. This is an adult forum. Think through what's going to happen. This is really important. And of course, we are also monitoring the time for Salah because we need to go and pray. Now, when it comes to the issue of the husband that is not praying, it is a huge problem. It's a huge problem. Now, because it means the person is leaving the deen, you need to sit down and address it with the imam, know exactly what's going on with your husband. If it is that he says to himself that he is no longer a Muslim, you have no reason to be in that marriage. The marriage is dead. And I say that again. If your husband does not pray and he's saying to you that he's no longer a Muslim, that marriage is dead. Pack your bags, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you a better husband. That's it. But if it is that he's just being lazy, maybe he's just somebody that prays only in Jumu'ah, maybe you have to convince him and then he will pray in Ramadan, then it means he is still a Muslim, but it just needs a little more encouragement. You should try and be a better Muslim yourself. You may be able to encourage him better. But nonetheless, it is not a good situation. I think I'll probably go. Then in terms of divorce, when you already have 4 or 5 children, it's not the number of children that you have as the criterion for getting a divorce. Like in the case that we just discussed, even if you have 20 children and your husband stops praying, you have no, and he says it's no longer a Muslim, you have no business being in the marriage. Okay, so it is not about the number of children. If you are afraid that, okay, how am I going to take care of all these children? If you are in an abusive relationship, don't wait. Seek intervention. If you have an abusive husband or somebody who wants to tell a Muslim and is getting drunk and is beating you and doing all sorts of bad things, please seek intervention. Don't say, oh, because we are Muslims. No. Because we are Muslims, we strive for the path of righteousness, but we still make mistakes. Seek intervention as needed. Inshallah.
Just before you answer this, we will take 2 questions from here after this, after he answers this, from here, and then 2 from here. If the sisters, you want to ask questions, maybe you didn't have the opportunity to write it down, we'll give you the opportunity to ask 2 questions, and then 2 will come from there.
Well, I think, the question in terms of if your wife says you are very good, that's okay, because that's what is actually expected. It is expected that you be good. So if you are somebody that gets other than the flagship result, it means you still have a whole lot of room of improvement. And even if you get the highest grade, you know, the 5-star rating, you still have to maintain it. Okay, so for those of us who we get so tired too quickly, buy running shoes. Maybe for your wife, buy your husband some running shoes. Let him get in shape. Let him go to the gym. Let him, be physically strong. Increase his cardio. Okay, so but it is really important. It is really, really important. Let us recognize, inshallah, we will be closing here. I think I've answered all the questions here. Yes, brother. What's up? My question
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My question goes like A and B. The part is, what are the factors that surround can a man or a woman see to say, okay, this man is a first man or this woman is a first woman? Or is that a cause to marry somebody who is not pious? That is A. B. For a Muslim brother to marry a Christian, or for a Muslim sister to marry, a Christian woman to marry a Muslim brother, what are the adverse effects of it on both sides? If you are not getting along, when they both of them say, okay, I don't know if the part understand. Okay, a Muslim brother saw a Christian woman, and he said he likes her, and they get married. Nothing was discussed about religion. And afterwards, the woman said, okay, I will do Islam. Then in the process, it doesn't go that way. Then what the government should do?
Okay. Now I get your question. Now, in terms of definition of piety, in choosing a pious husband, this is really important because when you are making a proposal to marry a lady, or you are making a man is proposing to marry you, there are some important things you will never be able to ascertain how good the marriage is going to be. You will never know, only Allah knows. But you can at least ask some important questions. For example,